a blunder? Why is h? Who can tell us why is h5 a blunder? For example. Yeah, exactly. Rook takes h5, right? And if they're here, oops. And if knight d6, you go king e7. So h5 does not work. King g3 is another interesting try, which was actually played in the game. But then you can play something like rook h7, and you don't end up forcing the rooks, right? I mean, then you only get a chance to trade knight for bishop, but you're not really winning. You'll get the pawn back, but it's only going to be a draw, or maybe winning chances, but not really winning. So sure, Costa, yeah, no problem. Okay. So yeah, knight d6 is very important, because if you play some other move like e4 or whatever, then I could get out of the trade. Isn't a6 pawn lost in the rook? Okay, maybe you have chances in the rook end. I don't really want to go too deep into the rook end game, but okay, when there's a clear-cut win in the pawn end game, you don't want to bother with the unclear rook end game, which they may or may not have counterplay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, the next one is an interesting study that sort of shows in which positions, the bishop could be kind of a very nuisance piece. Okay, for this one, I don't accept one move answers. You have to give me the whole solution. And whoever gives me the full solution first, I guess I'll call on them. So it's white to play and win. Let's try to do this study. Okay, Eric Lu, you got it. No, sorry, actually, no, you. So d5 right away actually does not work, interestingly enough, because I take bishop a3 and could play d4. I could play d4 here, d3 here, and now I'm in time to go knight e7, 6, and then this this pawn creates counterplay. So d5 first option does not win. We must go bishop a3 first. f5 forced. And now, what do we play? Yeah, now d5. Yeah, because a5 will not work because knight f6. And then here. And then you cannot stop for this one, right? You cannot stop both defenses. So now you need to block this. They might kind of have to take, because if knight f6, you could take here, and white's winning, so they take. And now you go a5, knight f6, here, And now, okay, they could play 97 or 98, but then they're kind of committing where they're going, and we can stop them. For example, 98, we can go bishop d6 with the win. And 97, we can go bishop c5 with the win. Okay, those were kind of warm-ups. Now, on to kind of more difficult exercises. Okay, this is a game between Izoria and Sergei Grigorians. Now, these will be difficult. Start off with an IQP position, and then it transforms into, of course, bishop f3 here, not bishop c2. We want to put pressure on c2 since there is really no attack there. So bishop, and by the way, 95 they take. I take back. White is a bit better. So this, rook 95, rook c1, knight c4, and here white transposes into this situation where white has a good knight against not such a good bishop. Now this structure is better for white. Why? Because black cannot really attack the d4. Basically, the d4 and the d5 pawns are both isolated, right, in the structure. They're both weak pawns. But as you could see, this bishop can never attack the d4 pawn. Meanwhile, the knight could apply pressure on the d5 pawn, right? So in reality, the d5 pawn is weaker. Not to mention the bishop is also restricted by the pawn. So for sure, white's better. However, black's position is defensible. And here, a difficult exercise. How would you try to defend this position with black? So, Ryan, for your line that you suggested, rook d8, queen c7, rook d7, is there not? Wait, am I missing something? Why is there not queen takes b7? Oh, no, of course, yeah, just queen f8. Yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, that's my bad. Okay, but rook d8, I can probably play like knight f5 or queen c7. Yeah, sorry, that was my bad. Okay, I think, let's see. Okay, rook e7, I think I'm going to go knight f5. Okay, we'll look at that a little bit later. But for now, let me show you guys what actually happened in the game, so you guys kind of understand the picture. So in the game, black did play rook at e8, which is, makes a lot of sense. Getting the rook in the game, last piece in the game. And after white plays queen c7, oh, you wanted to play rook f e8? No, but then queen c7 still, I don't see the big point. No, rook a8 is a logical move, right? So, okay, rook a8, queen c7. So takes rook e7. So black's idea was to challenge and contest the c file. White played there, black played king f8. Okay. Now it seems like black is more or less holding this, right? Like it doesn't seem like, it should be that bad. However, you know, in chess, there's this thing called principle of two weaknesses. And this is one weakness. I guess you can argue the C file, but in order to win, we need to create more weaknesses. So white starts expanding on the king side a little bit. Goes for g4, gaining some space, trying to get the king to g3. And okay, f4, I'm not so sure because f4 might be weakening the e4 square, but maybe more like f3 at some point. But in the meantime, g4, king g3, and then kind of take it from there. And the point is that it's very, I mean, I'm not saying now, it's in general, Wesley, like in the long run. But yeah, in this position, black kind of has no counterplay, right? Like very, very little. So he trades, goes rook e7, makes sense. White goes back. Now, this would have still been pretty promising for white because, okay, you can torture black forever here. Black has no counterplay here, and I remember Fischer won a very similar type of endgame against Sadie. Pretty famous. Knight against bishop in a very similar structure, but Fischer was black with the knight. But, you know, with the rooks, it's even better because the thing is, black have a hard time attacking the d4 pawn. White's rook's very active. Black does not really have this move because f3 and then rook c7 is very strong. And if they don't have that move, then white's going to go f3. And the white rook ends up being much more active, much more impactful than the black rook. Just keeps more winning chances. Plus, white will use this rook to probe more weaknesses, as you guys will see. So g6, h4, at some point trying to play h5. If he didn't go g6, at some point this knight f5 is in the air. So either way, it's kind of very difficult to play. So king e8, king f2, king d7, and now he starts probing weaknesses. Rook a3, rook b3. You know, so he probed some weaknesses. King d6, h5. If g5, knight f5. At some point, bishop c6, now he goes back. And now he takes. King goes there. And now he goes f4, using the fact that the rook cannot go back, trying to seize the rook completely. So he goes there, rook c3. Now bishop d7, there's this move, and then setting up some tactics. And b5, you go back, and then you create more weaknesses. So it's like very unpleasant for black to play. Like white can play with a free hand, and black has to always worry about like some tricks. He goes there, b3, takes. Now f5, smothering the rook. Probably by now black is in big time pressure. Now h6 is also weak. Eventually comes in there. Now it goes back. Kind of a funny move. And around here, he resigned because he's losing some material with like knight c4. Or if f6, I could take, and then I'm just crushing. So, what can we say? Very convincing endgame. Like, okay, black could have played better. Of course, the computer would have held better, but it's a plus-minus position, plus over minus. Very unpleasant to play. So we already know what white wants. White really wants to trade off the queens. If white trades off the queens, that's like removes the glue from the position. The queen is very often like the glue to our position. It holds the position together. And in this case, it prevents this very unpleasant endgame where black will have zero counterplay, especially against this d4 pawn, right? And without counterplay, it's very, very difficult to play. So then we need to look for ways to try to avoid the queen trade, but it's very difficult. For example, bishop c6, as was mentioned. There's queen c6. I mean, basically bishop c6, you're allowing knight f5, so it looks like problem, right? Yeah, you can try to go there, but even there, like knight e7, for example, king f8, and now rook e3, and now too much stuff is attacked and we're losing. By the way, what's the best move after king h8? Who can tell us what the best move after king h8 is? Let's see how disciplined you guys are. I see most of you are not looking carefully at opponents' ideas. You all see the idea, but you have to be more precise in chess. So rook e3 looks logical, but after bishop d7, defending everything, there is no immediate win, right? So that's why we play rook e5. And rook e5 wins on the spot because we have a double threat. Queen takes h7, rook h5, and knight takes c6. So yeah, that looks like a problem. And if you go rook e7, there's knight f5 still. And this is a very problematic position as well. Like the initiative is just big. However, black does have a shocking resource. Unexpected. Sometimes the move you think it's refuted, it's actually not refuted. There's something there. No, well, rook c8, I just take and take. That's refuted. Queen f4, I think I go queen c7. Rook h6 does not help because I think I can just play queen c7 again. Queen c6, well, then he's going to trade queens anyway. Queen b4, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I can probably go queen c3 anyway. Doesn't help that much. So queen f8, okay, queen f8 is a very good alternative, actually, and I think this deserves a lot of partial credit. I think the older engines used to think that this is as good as the top choice. So definitely this would be my, I mean, if I can't find anything else, queen f8 looks good. Because queen c7, rook e7. Now, it turns out white still has big initiative here, but yes, this would make sense. So I think queen d6 or queen g3 may be better, but queen e7, I think queen c7 doesn't really help. So the idea is actually the move that we refuted a while back. We actually could still go here. Because after knight f5, we have a key idea. Okay, now that we know there's a key idea, now I think a lot of you will find it, but of course it's very hard to see it ahead of time. Well, actually, nobody found it yet, surprisingly. I guess it's like very unnatural, but let's see if anyone can find. Okay, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have this amazing move, rook a e8, where they cannot take the queen because mate. And if this one, we go queen e1. Yeah, and after knight e3, something like bishop d7 or rook c8. And again, this position, there's like counterplay because with the queens on the board, white cannot activate their king that easily. And this d4 pawn will always be a nuisance, right? So black will always generate whole lots of counterplay. But okay, queen f8 would also be pretty logical. But again, it's very important to avoid the queen trade if possible in a structure like that. Especially when you're going to be like out of counterplay. Because it's very important to try to not get these positions without counterplay, right? So maybe, you know, already this queen f4 is a little bit shaky because getting that structure is very unpleasant. Now, when my coach showed me that game, 2 weeks later, I was lucky enough to be able to demonstrate a similar concept in one of my games. Um, and this game I played against the international master, Textur Engbad. He doesn't play much anymore, but he was fairly active in like, that was a while back. I don't have a coach currently, but Eastern Open. Yeah, wait, Eastern Open? Yes, Vihan. Wait, Eastern Open. Which Eastern Open? I haven't played Eastern Open since like I think before COVID, right? It might have been. Yeah, it says 2023, but it's yeah, it does say 2023, but ignore that. It's because my chess base like did something funny. You can ignore that. Yeah, anyway, we got the following structure. Where I was very happy to get the structure because I felt like, okay, now I understand how to play this very well. And right away I played a move I was pretty happy with. So what should we do? Yeah, I didn't play in 2023 Eastern Open. I don't know what tournament you're talking about. It might have been some other tournament. Um, okay, Austin got it. Yeah. Well, I haven't played chess much in general lately. Uh, I mean, most of I'm just playing tournaments in New York now. I haven't really traveled for tournaments that much recently. Um, yes, that's true. Yes, I'm teaching much more now. That's why. Um, so the move was Queen G3. Yeah, you want to try to trade the queens, and fight for this E7, C7 squares. Removing the glue is the point. Yeah, I mean, if you play knight d3, I think I can play rook e8, and I'm sort of okay, right? There are other moves too. Queen e2 is decent as well. Would have tried to go queen e7 and prophylaxis against b6, but I kind of like queen g3. And my opponent, well, he should have kept queens on the board. I was also engine's top choices. But, he kind of wanted to make a draw. He thought, okay, trading queens gets him closer to a draw. Well, luckily for me, I saw that game and I knew it's not really the case. And yeah, this game is probably one of my better games of all time, actually, in terms of technique and preciseness. Yeah, these are USCF rating. Sadly, I never reached a FIDE rating that high. I was 2654 at my peak. So that's that. But now I'm nowhere near that. Low 2500s in FIDE. Okay, so we're looking for a white to play. White plan. Yeah, sadly these days it's very hard to get positions like that. Everybody knows their openings well. Everybody goes for tactics, make you calculate. And if you're not in your top shape, it's very difficult to win games now. Unlike in the past where you can outplay people by class. But that's fine. Yeah, with white you can still sort of do that, but with black it's very difficult. These days it's very hard for me to win games with black. That's the problem. Too much chessable. It's a good thing, of course, but bad for my rating. Because that it kind of levels the field. Everybody else becomes much better. And the thing is, when you play at 2,000 FIDE rated, and you're 2,500 or 2,600, you're expected to score like 95 to 98%. And it's very hard to do, 95 to 98%. So that's, you know, maybe I could score 90%, but that will lose me rating. Well, Hikaru does not play open tournaments very much. I mean, the only open tournaments he plays are like with 25, 2,600 and above, with like professional players in Europe. So doesn't really play exciting ovals. Well, I'm trying, but that requires me to change my style, and that's also a bit painful. You know, that's exposing my weak spots, and that involves like a transition period for me. That's the thing, yeah. So it's not so simple. Okay, rook e5, a lot of people are saying, but then I think, yeah, take 6, king f8, king e7, and then pawn on d5. I've played Hikaru tons of times in Blitz, by the way. He's an amazing Blitz player, but he's definitely beatable. I was able to beat them a few times. No, I mean, of course, yeah, and in Blitz, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gives chances. The chess league, the Super the 1600, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everybody is just much better. Yes, especially in the early part of the game, everybody understands stuff. You kind of have to count on some unforced errors from your opponents to win games, and even they don't happen as much as in the past. Oh yeah, the Roman Shagdiev, the 8-year-old kid, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Now 8-year-olds are capable of beating grandmasters, rapid and classical. It's probably soon going to be my turn to be scalped. Okay. Yeah, but these ratings, it's very hard to judge. Anyway, so the best move is rook takes e8. The important thing about this position is that if I play f3, he will take me and I go king f8. The important thing to recognize is that the important file is the C file, right? Because the E file is kind of not a big deal because the king is close and could protect squares along that file, right? That's why the best move is this, followed by f3, followed by king f2, because that means I dominate the C file, which is very hard to control. The other moves are less accurate. If you go knight d3, for example, I could take, and now, okay, I guess you could take with a knight, but now it means that the knight is more passive. And you don't really want to move the rook from the C file. So this is the most accurate. And okay, I could have also played king f1, but I thought f3, king f2 is more accurate because I calculated a simple line that if he goes rook e2 and king f1, he can't really do anything on the second rank because I go knight d3 or knight a4. And after this, I go knight b3. And rook e3, of course, is also nonsense. So there's really no counterplay on the file, which means that I have everything to myself. And also b6 does not really help because I just go back and he creates more weaknesses. So what does he do? He played king f8. And I played king f2. Now, of course, he can't go here because of knight b7. I mean, maybe he could, but he doesn't really want to play this rook endgame. It's quite a lot of suffering. Okay, so he plays rook d8. Plays rook d8. So he wants to go king e7. e7, king d6 is his idea. All right, how should we continue here? Okay, so knight a4, then I can go bishop d7, and then I think we don't have anything better than to go back, because if you're gonna go there, your knight might get trapped. So that's like so rook e1, yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, right? We don't really, it's a prophylactical move, that's true. We're stopping king e7, but at what cost, right? We're moving a rook away from a good square, right? We want the rook on the c file, right? We don't really want to move the rook away from here, because after this, they go rook d6, rook c6, b6. Um, so a4 I don't like so much because b6, and then we don't have knight a4 anymore, and then the bishop could create counterplay via d7. Well, just waiting, I don't really want to just wait because the king is coming to d6. It's gonna, and just like the queen is a glue to the position, the king also is a glue to the position. So it's not so simple. Knight d3, I considered that, but then bishop f5. And where do I go with the knight? Knight e5, f6. It's not so simple. I wasn't sure. Knight before a5. So there are two ideas which I feel like are equally good. The move I played, I was actually, okay, I think Murad Khan got it. Actually, Murad Khan got it. Very good. Before, I think just king e7. Knight b3, okay, that's interesting. But then I think here and here. So, okay, so good alternative here would have been g4. Now, g4 has multiple ideas. One of them is to stop bishop f5. So if you go g4 and I go h6, now we go knight d3. This. And here white is doing very well. If rook c8, rook takes b7. So here white's doing very well. Now, if he goes here, the problem for black is this pawn. So it's a principle of two weaknesses. So even though you sort of get rid of the knight, now you're stuck with like very passive position over there. So, and white is, sorry, what am I doing? White is a bit better here as well. I don't think I saw that, but I saw rook c3, which I thought is also very good. Now, here my opponent should have made a very difficult decision in retrospect and played rook d6. I didn't really consider it, but it was the engine's top choice. Just bailing out to a slightly worse, to down a pawn rook endgame. Now, he does have chances to hold here, but to be honest, I didn't really calculate it. I just thought, okay, I'm winning a pawn, that's good enough, and we'll figure it out. But for this reason, I think engine actually slightly preferred g4. But I was pretty happy with rook c3 as well. And my opponent, understandably, here he just panicked. Like he really played badly. He should have kind of found this by process of elimination. Because the thing is, if king here, I go to b3. And he really does not want to play b5, of course. But he played rook e8. Now, rook e8 is a real admission of defeat here, because the problem with rook e8 is that now you don't have any counterplay at all. You can't go there because of this. And now you really have no way to improve your position. So I played g4 because I figured, okay, I can improve my position to the maximum. And here the guy played h6. And here, yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys do here. Here I was very, very happy with the move I played. Here I was very happy with what I played. It's like a really, it's kind of my trademark kind of chess. This is the kind of chess that made me, you know, at my peak 2650, which unfortunately, it's not always easy these days to get positions like this, but when I did, I would usually do very well with them. Let's see if anyone gets this. Vihan, you're like very close actually to what I played, but I don't know if you kind of guessed it or you had like some idea behind it. So of course, this move did not really come to my mind right away. What I originally considered was, yes, yeah, that's the move I played. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, yeah. So here's the thing, though. Uh, the the first moves the first ideas I calculated was rook b3. So rook b3 goes rook b6. Okay. So he goes rook e7. I go here. He goes rook e6. So I calculated that. And then he goes rook c7. Okay, so king e3, king e7, not easy to break through. But if I go there, he goes there, creating massive counterplay. And my rook might be in trouble as well. So I really wasn't sure there. It was a bit difficult to calculate. So I kind of said, okay, maybe interesting, but there's no clear win, so I wasn't sure. So I kind of moved on to something else. Knight e3, I calculated. But then he goes there and goes there. Again, promising, but where's the win? Where's the knockout? So then I was thinking, okay, well, I don't see a clear. Okay, f4 was also suggested, but f4, I don't know. I can take and go to e2. That looks kind of, we're giving them too much more than they deserve. So then I thought, and rook e3 was given by a few people, but rook e3, the problem is I could take and go king d6, king e7, king d6. And again, I don't really want to trade rooks here, right? I would really want to keep rooks on the board if possible, right? That was the whole point of my strategy. B4, interesting, but I think what was that? What did I not like? Yeah, I guess B4 is possible, but I kind of wanted to keep rook b3 as an idea potentially. A4, I think maybe B6, because now we lose the A4 square. Now we put a pawn on the light square, which isn't best. So I thought to myself, okay, well, he doesn't have actually. I asked myself, okay, what's my opponent's next move? Since I did not see like a clear forcing line that was great for me, I asked myself, okay, well, what does my opponent want? What's my opponent's next move? And as I was thinking, I was like, I can't see a move for him. Like, I can't see a good move for him. He can't really actually improve the position in a very easy way. Like, because a pawn move creates new weaknesses. The king go g8, it weakens. Rook e7, knight e6, king e7, knight b7. Like, so I realized he had a hard time finding a move. So I was like, okay, well, let me just play this move a3, because I realized this move cannot spoil anything. Like, I'm putting a pawn on the light square. I'm getting rid of the counterplay rook e2, getting the pawn out of the way. And in the meantime, let him suffer in this time pressure. Figure out how to actually play this position. And then maybe next this move, I'll have still all these tactical ideas that I kind of calculated the previous move, right? And I just like, okay, let's go a3. Let's put the ball back in his court. Let's see what happens. And immediately this move induced the mistake. He played the move f6, which was he should have played king g8 apparently, but it's not a move you want to play, right? Because you're kind of going backwards. G6 was also possible, but the weaken made the bishop bad, even worse. And then weakens the square. So he decided, okay, well, let's play f6. It's always very hard to find as they say, in a bad position, there are no good moves. And it's always very hard to choose between like bad moves, between like which of these is like lesser of the evil. So he played f6, which makes sense. I mean, he's putting a pawn on a dark square, right? He's a very classical type player, so which makes sense. He played f6. However, it weakens something very important, and now I found a tactic that wins the game by force. I found a sequence of moves that wins the game by force. So let's see if you guys could find it. Seen this before? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't recall. Maybe. Well, there's been a lot of new students since. You know, if I showed it, it must have been a while back. But anyway, most of you don't remember, I think. So, from what I could see, based on your answers. So, yeah, maybe I did show it, but it seems like most of you don't really remember. It's not not easy, not an easy concept. And the first three, I definitely don't recall showing before. Okay, give you guys like 2 more minutes, maybe. Well, I didn't say anything about any answers being incorrect. Okay, so let's look at rook b3 first. Rook e7, rook b6, rook c7. And then let's see. Um, rook b6, rook b7. Oh yeah. You wrote king f7. Right. Yeah, I can go rook c7. That's the point. Yeah, and then after this, king e7, here b6 is the problem. Yeah. Yeah, king e7 takes b6 and rook c2 counter. Yeah. So it doesn't quite win. Rook b3. So the correct idea is knight d3. Knight a4, I think bishop d7 is a problem. Yeah, the correct move is knight d3. So bishop e6. All right, now what? Here, there's definitely many ways to get an advantage, but I found, okay, it looks like Oscar Zolfer got it. Eric Liu got it. Austin May got, well, no, actually, Austin, you didn't quite get it. So if you go knight f4 immediately, I go there. Now, you're probably much better after rook c5 and then rook c7. But the best line is rook c7 first, because the point is the knight c5. And that's it. That's it. If knight f4, we go bishop f7. That's what my opponent told me. He saw knight f4, bishop f7, but he missed knight c5. That was I was very happy. Knight f4 looks more human, but and also threatened knight g6, but it does allow bishop f7. Yeah, so knight c5 was beautiful. And then right there, but the rest is pretty easy. 98 also pretty nice move. And then I just won the rest. The rest was pretty simple. The move 96, the move 98 is the move I have never played. Well, sure you'll have your chance at some point. Maybe with black also. So like 97 to a8 to b6. Sometimes you do this maneuver. It's not that uncommon. Well, anyway, so that was my game. Let's do one more. So this is a game from Fisher. So we just saw situations where, let's say, knight dominated bishop. This time we'll see something a little different. Bishop dominating knight. And again, whenever there's pawn majority, it's often the case, right? Like the bishop will dominate knights in these kind of race situations when both sides have fast pawns. Okay, so question here, what does white do? Now, there are two good solutions here. One of them is the classical, well-known solution, and one of them is the engine, actually, choice. And they're both pretty good. Bishop takes h7 and trap the bishop after g6. Kind of funny. Yeah, this is a classic, we should all probably know, most of you at least. Yeah, but knight takes d7 is good, yeah. Knight takes d7 followed by rook c1. Even though we trade off our good knight for a stupid bishop, okay, now we have this oh yes, Austin, I read that too. Yes. Yeah, then this is just very good for white. White is dominating here. Yeah, white won a nice game with this great bishop. Now, it turns out a4 was also very good. Stopping bishop b5. Maybe even better because black has very little counterplay. That's like I think the engine stop choice, but okay, full credit for knight takes d7. Rook a1, however, is inaccurate because I could go bishop b5. And g4, can I still go there maybe? Then knight d7. Yeah, okay. And this is another Fischer example. What should we play as white here? Yeah, pretty simple, right? We'll go to d3 because we see that this bishop, these weaknesses on the squares, this bishop will definitely be better than the knight, especially with the knight not having any good stable squares, right? The only outpost is e4, but that could be challenged by the bishop. So definitely white is much better. Eventually, white gets a Zugzwang. Okay, it's not that easy because there are some stuff, but eventually he gets the job done. He gets some kind of a Zugzwang. after maneuvers. And this is the final zugzwang, right? Where if the knight moves, the bishop hangs. But after king moves, how does white play? Well, blitz is blitz, yeah. Blitz is blitz. Yeah, we take on g6, right? Like it's more accurate than king b6 because we want to also take this pawn and drive away his knight. Right? And this is winning. 3 pawns for the piece. You know, a6, a7. White is winning. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's class. And I'll see you back for more future.